basically, finally, he is Mr. Segun Ajayi-Kadir, the Director General of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Welcome to you, sir, and thank you for joining us. We've always been speaking on Zoom.
Yes.
So welcome to Abuja.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, let's get started. The Naira started this year, 2024, at about 988 Naira. That's January 1. Yes, I think so. January 3rd, we saw it, move to about 1,033 Naira. How is your association members able to navigate this Forex crisis that we're having?
Okay, I think the major difference between what has been our lot for quite a while now is just the fact that the rates have gone quite high. We've actually never been able to get what we require from the M.A.N window, from the official window. And so we have had to rely more on the parallel market, bureau de change, and so on and so forth. But what is new now and what is most paralyzing is the fact that, yes, it's still not available in the official market, but when you go to the parallel market now, the rates are quite high. As we speak, it is 1,800. And you can imagine if you have to get your raw materials, your machines, your spares, if you have to have your import duty calculated in dollars, the price of gas calculated in dollars in the face of inadequate supply of electricity, and pretty much affecting every other aspect of life, the disposable income of the average Nigerian, we've been coping very badly. It has badly impacted on manufacturing business.
Now, I heard you clearly when you said that you're sourcing your Forex from the BDCs or the parallel market.
Yes.
Is it that there's no ratio you're sourcing from banks at all?
No, it's less than 20%. They can hardly meet your demand. Even those of our members who have had to make the forward booking, as they say, many of them are being asked now to come take back their money. That means they will not just be able to access the market, even for accounts that have been closed, some of them 14, 13 months ago. So it's actually a very bad situation that you are not able to source from the official window. We have never really been able to do that effectively.
For how long now?
Oh, for more than 5-6 years.
More than 5-6 years.
Yes.
Okay, because I know why I'm asking that question, because it seems that this is really a precarious situation where we are right now. If you look back 4-5 years ago, 6-7 years ago, you may say it's actually better. Yes. So what could be better? Is it that you had definitely more supply at the BDCs or the parallel market or the black markets, as it were, or people on the street trade, yeah, as it were? So would you say that we are in a very worse situation right now? And don't you think that because of this huge demand on the BDCs as well as the parallel market, that is why we are also seeing the Naira's depreciation, not even volatility, because volatility is about up and down. The Naira has always been going down. It has not, it never really, gained appreciably.
Yeah. No, I think perfect analysis. That's just what it is. Strangely, there's always dollar in the parallel market with the bureau de change. Apparently also because even from the official space, we appear to be struggling with them to attract dollars. So I believe that what is then needed is for us to be strategic about the way we allow the flow, even from the official window, and then to try to curb the excesses that we notice with the BDCs and the parallel market. I mean, one wonders why it should be a lot easier for you to get dollars from the parallel market, the bureau de change, and the official channel that you are supposed to channel all your import documents you are not able to source.
Now, let's take a look at the Forex impact on specific areas of manufacturing. Now, I would like you to give me an analysis of the impact of this Forex pressure on production, or perhaps distribution costs, on the volume of production, also as well as even the cost of shipments. Just before I came in here, I saw that the cargo clearance rate has also increased to 1,600 and something. So at least in the last 1 week or so, we've seen customs duty rate increase close to, perhaps this money zone is the 6th time in about less than 10 days.
Yes.
So I would like to get your analysis on the impact on these various areas of manufacturing.
Okay. I think the most impactful is actually on the import duty. It is calculated in dollars, so you have to pay the rates. And like you rightly mentioned, in the last 10 days, we've had increases more than 5 times at least. And then to know that we actually started the year with maybe calculation at about 950. Now you are talking about 1,600. So you can imagine that sometimes it takes about 3 months for your imports to arrive, 2 months for your imports to arrive. And you know that the rate at which you have calculated your production cost will have to almost double. I mean, that becomes a major, major challenge for you, that you are now not able to produce at a lower cost. It's going to impact on your capacity to even be able to import the volume of raw materials, for instance, that you'll be able to import. It's going to affect your capacity utilization. And don't forget that you cannot also be laying off your staff, so you are going to be having a sunk cost in terms of the labor cost that you are going to have. And this same foreign exchange has also affected other products, reducing the disposable income of the average Nigerian. So those that are going to patronize what has now come at a higher cost are going to be less. Then the cost of logistics, for instance, I mean, because even from the ports, when you eventually import your product, you need trucks that will take them to your factory. We had said before that a 40-foot container, bringing it from Singapore to Lagos, is almost the same cost as taking it from Lagos to Agbara in Ogun State. So you now have an escalation in that respect. So it's going to impact your capacity utilization. It's going to affect the volume that you can import. Also, in terms of even price of gas. Now we have one of the highest prices in the world, and now you are going to have to calculate it at 1,600. So you can imagine that when you have power inadequacy, it's now compounded by higher cost of gas that you have to pay. So taking this together, what it's doing to the manufacturing sector that is already endangered before is that it constrains your capacity to even put your products in the market. Never mind that even when you get to the market, you are going to compete with those imports that come from relatively lower economies, and you are going to compete in the same market with somebody who already has a dwindling disposable income. So the story is skewed against your profitability and your competitiveness.
Okay, let's quickly take this video. Yesterday, at a public wealth management conference, where championing Nigeria's economic prosperity was discussed, the Minister of Finance and the CMA, Coordinating Minister of the Economy, made some certain statements around perhaps what the government wants to do or is doing to alleviate the struggles on some sectors. Just take a listen to that video, sir, and when we come back, we'll take it from there.
And the long term, or even the short term, if you say giving of food is immediate, then the short term is to have a good dry season harvest. Everything is being done to help farmers with that. And to have a good wet season harvest. Once you have enough food, that's it. But apart from that, there is intervention for transport, the CNG buses, and in my role as the coordinator of the economy, I did reach out to the team in charge of bringing in CNG buses, CNG kits for assembly in Nigeria, and conversion kits, tens of thousands of conversion kits, so lower cost fuel can be used for mass transit. I did reach out to them and urge them to do faster. Likewise, my colleague, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, has assured that the grant funding that is available to micro businesses is being rolled out, and they will accelerate that pace of rollout without jeopardizing the integrity of the system. Likewise,
So does that come as hope? Because the minister alluded to a lot of stuff, and I hope that even in subsequent productions, in subsequent programs, we'll bring a fuller version of what he said. But does this really bring hope? Because I also know that there are also some small business manufacturers within your space. How has the government been able to engage you since the president made that announcement? I think, is it July of last year, when he promised 75 billion naira for businesses and all of that?
Okay, so I think yes, because the latter part of what you said brought more clarity to it. Because what I heard the minister say is the one for the micro and nano businesses, which the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment has indicated that is being done. And then there's this other one that Mr. President promised, 75 billion to a minimum of 75 industries. That we have taken up with government and indicated that government needed to be more specific about where it's being targeted, for what purpose, and so on. And the latest we had is that the processes are still being worked upon, and that we will be informed as to government's readiness for disbursement. We had actually indicated that we will be willing to assist government to ensure that it is properly channeled and that we achieve government objective in allocating the funds. Of course, 75 billion is like a drop in the ocean. I mean, the credit facilities available to the manufacturer has been abysmally low, and even when we have them, they have been at interest rate that is more than 28–30%. So government saying that it's going to come as single-digit 9%, even though we have indicated that anything above 5% may not be very helpful, but 9% is still good. So we are looking forward to engaging with government on when realistically we can start to talk about disbursement and what the objective of government will be for us to be able to provide the necessary support in terms of determining where it should go, what it's supposed to achieve, and how you can track the process. Because most manufacturers belong to our fold, and we know where they are located, what they do, and we can be specific about what is needed to ramp up on their either the capacity utilization, backward integration, export capacity. Government needed to be specific about what you want to achieve, and we'll give all the necessary
Isn't
support.
government slow to respond? Because since President Tinubu announced that last year, July, how many months do we have to July of this year? Perhaps 3–4 months. So is it taking a year for the federal government to be able to disburse what the president said last year? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, I can't speak for government, but I think the sense we got was that we didn't have ministers in place when that was said, but we have since had them in place. Then it was to follow 2024 budget. Now 2024 budget is out. And one should say that, I mean, the prevailing situation across the country has made it imperative now for us to do it. So it's better late than never. It should be
the
done.
ministers have been on seat for about 6 months or even more than that. So isn't that, for a country that is serious, that wants to get its manufacturing, or that wants to even give palliatives, as the president called it, which a lot of people hate, at least to get certain sectors on track, we're still talking about it, that it's on the way, you know. So that was why I asked that question. Let's talk about another sticky issue, which is cement. This week, at least for the past few days, we've been seeing that volatile market, because now I understand it's about 7,000 to 8,000. Some days ago, it was said to be sold at 13,000 naira. If you go to a store, you say it's 13,000. You come back again that same day, they'll tell you it's 15,000 naira. So where do you people stand? That is a market that has been very oligopolistic in the past few years. We have about 3 to 4 players in that sector. Is the association encouraging that kind of market where we have, you know, the oligopolist controlling that? I also know that the cement manufacturers have met the federal government, and they've also given like a condition that we will sell at 7K or 8K if. So where is the association stand in all of this?
Okay. I think a historical perspective will be very useful here. We all know how we started to produce cement in Nigeria during the presidency of Baba Obasanjo. And the truth of it is that it's not everybody who can invest in the cement industry. It's capital intensive, and you really, really, really need to be able to focus on that business, have a war chest, they call it, and then you have to have a location. You need to set up the logistics and so on and so forth. If I would take Dangote alone, I think he has more than 10,000 trucks that has to move his cement because the railway system in Nigeria is not functioning. You also know that these huge investments we have to go and borrow money. So how many people will be able to invest in that industry? So I think the cost, that it is cost intensive will mean that not many people may play there. M.A.N does not in any way promote oligopoly, but you have, like you said, 3 to 4 industries are already playing. I think that is good competition. They should be able to compete among themselves. And the more the merrier. I mean, we would love to have more members playing in that field. But you see, when you come to determining price, there are a lot of things that fit into it. And I'm happy that government is doing the right thing by engaging the manufacturers. But it's not only the manufacturers that should be engaged, because it's not the producer that will be responsible for the price that will be sold in Wuse market, for instance. I mean, somebody has to do the transportation, somebody has to do the warehousing, somebody has to do the retail, and that person has to buy. So all these people that are involved, they only have their own costs as well. And I mean, a liter of diesel sold 2-3 days ago at 1,350. That's not the price it was selling in January and about 2 years ago. So you can't expect the price of cement that is sold in a shop to be the same thing over 2-3 years. And at the same time, you can see all the costs. So my worry, I mean, when I heard the outcry about cement, I know the importance. I don't intend to underplay it. I mean, for the construction industry and for housing, it's extremely important. But it's the same thing that has been happening to the price of sugar, price of gari, price of beans, and all that. I mean, it's been galloping
a lot
every
of
day.
people just, you know, there was a sense of uproar because it was astronomical increase. Cement at the time, even last year, some cement manufacturers were selling for 2,000, 3,000. Even as of 2 years ago, or 3, 4, 5 years ago, you could buy cement for 1,500, 2,000 naira. Now, so many Nigerians don't understand that. And I also want to ask you this concept of, we understand that their input cost, and as perhaps Naira depreciates, it will affect a lot of the factors of production,
Yes.
as it were. But do you think that there's also, let me put it in a way that our viewers would understand, this Nigerian mentality that manufacturers, producers have actually put into it? You will have your goods in the market, in your store now. You are calling and say, oh, okay, how much is it? People, you know, just price gouging. Let me put it that way. You know, don't you think it has become so excess now in the country? Because even if you go to a vegetable seller, that may not, okay, one will say one way or the other, imports affect the woman because she will go and buy an imported product
Exactly.
too, you know. But don't you think that the Nigerian mentality of looking for so much profit is worsening the situation right now?
Okay, so while not, I do not want to appear to be condoning that kind of practice. But you see, you need to also look at the average Nigerian. The average Nigerian is his own local government. I mean, if it is the price of the vegetable that he's selling that would determine how much, the cost of the vegetable he's selling that would determine how much he's going to sell it, then you now know that this same woman, for instance, has to, maybe there's no light in the area, has to buy petrol. You know what has happened to the price. Also has to take transportation to the shop. You know what has happened to the price. So, and if he has to go to the hospital, you know that it's not functional. School fees have gone up. So it's generally an inflation environment. And you would not expect that the average Nigerian will not anticipate that the cost is going to, the prices at which is going to buy other needs apart from what it's doing, is going to increase. So why not condoning that fact? And I think government can do well, maybe by sensitization and the rest, but you know, it's always an issue of demand and supply. And at the end of the day, when you operate in a high-cost environment, this volatility will always be there, and it becomes more like a situation of everybody fending for himself and try to hedge against the perceived insecure environment. So I think that's largely responsible. In most other countries where you have situations like this, prices have tended to escalate. So I'm not really thinking that it's too much of the Nigerian thing. I believe that it is the situation. I mean, if there was no scarcity, if we didn't have this situation, why was the average Nigerian not doing this about 3, 4, 5 years ago?
Because some people will say, oh, Nigerians, we are the enemies of ourselves. I've heard that many times. Oh, now we they do ourselves. Even if, say, it don't concern you, want to go still raise prices. I've heard that several times. Now, we're coming to the end of the segment because I have another guest. Let me ask you these questions. The concept of shrinkflation, I've also noticed it. It's actually been there for the past few years, but I think it is something that I really need to expand. Shrinkflation, and that is done by your people, the producers. And let me explain. If they say that this is 20 kg, or okay, let's say rice, for example, 50 kg rice, you find out now that your 50 kg rice is not 50 kg rice. Or you even buy toothpaste, or you buy powdered milk in sachet. They put 50 ml. The content inside is not 50 ml. It happens to be like 40 ml or 35 ml. That is what we call shrinkflation, whereby the volume of the product has reduced, but I'm still paying the same amount for less. How do you address that? Because these are done by manufacturers, and we've seen a lot of them. Let me give you an example. I was given a Christmas hamper. I've said this a few times on the show. Christmas. Is it a liter or so? This paint bucket, good. Paint bucket, the custard. It should be at least filled up or close, even if it's not filled up. So you cannot believe that it's just like this in a whole paint bucket. And I was wondering why, if you want to give me that quantity, you didn't need all that paint bucket to put the custard. I wanted to call out the company. There was no phone number and all of that. And these are done by manufacturers. Do you address that too in terms of less volume and in terms of even quality reducing? The second one is, how has this also impacted on employment in your space? What's your forecast about job losses as well as businesses shutting down? Because I know you come up with your research reports like quarterly. The third question is, I would like to get your view, now that you're with me here, on your association stand on the ban on sachet alcoholic drinks.
Yeah.
And if possible, make your recommendations to us. We close very quickly.
Thank you. Okay, so on the first one, I think the word manufacturer is widely used. And so anybody who concocts anything, puts in a pack and puts it in the market, of course, he has manufactured. But I don't think, I must be very blunt on this, my members will never do that, because we are a highly regulated market. We have, just watch any product. It must have NAFDAC. If it doesn't have NAFDAC number, if it's the one that is regulated by NAFDAC, or if it doesn't have man cap, I mean, it's danger for you. So you cannot stop anyone, and the regulatory agencies will have to do that, from bringing things to the market that are not produced by what I would call maybe the mainstream or the regular manufacturer. And you need to check. If it's coming in a pack that you believe should be full, you need to check what the claim is on that product. My members will never undersupply, because it's a manufacturing process. And it has to be set at what volumes that will certainly come out. And I believe I will be very, very happy to see anyone. I mean, I will be the first, because it's demarketing us. I will be the champion of how that should never happen. It shouldn't happen in our space. And I've never seen where anyone has complained about any of my members that could be responsible for that kind of a thing. So I think the second one is about
the business is shutting down and how it's impacting on employment in your sector.
Yes, honestly, manufacturing employment, we have actually started calculating for this first quarter, and I'm actually scared about what is going to come out. But we have seen a drastic reduction of almost about 25% in the last quarter of last year about employment figures, and there is no doubt that now that the price verification portal has made a lot of companies not to be able to import their products, when our capacity utilization has reduced, when many people cannot place new orders, the first quarter is likely to come with more job losses. I just believe that government will take immediate steps that we have recommended about freezing the calculation of import duty for manufactured inputs, including raw materials, spares, and machines, and also the price of gas, freezing the rate at which it is calculated, and even selling in Naira, as well as removing the price verification portal. And I believe also that takes me to the last one about banning sachet, alcohol in sachet and PET bottles. That is an ill-informed decision that was taken by NAFDAC, and I believe that we should be scientific about what we do. Incidentally, NAFDAC is also a science-driven regulatory agency. There is no evidence that, and that's the only argument they raised, that young people are having access to this product, because the producers, over a period of 5 years when the so-called agreement was signed, have taken steps together with NAFDAC to reduce drastically access to this sachet and PET bottle by the underage. And the fact is that they even conducted a study that indicated that to ban it will be counterproductive, because you are going to open the floodgate for illicits, for unregulated products like Paraga, Ugugura, and all of those. You cannot check those ones. And even when you now have, when you take the legal ones out of the market, the wholesome ones, the ones that you can trust and the ones that you can track, you are going to allow those ones that are imported that you don't have any idea about and that are usually smuggled for them to come and take over the market. And then the legal producers will not have any obligation whatsoever to support you to take them out.
Okay, I know there could be another argument, and I wish we had more time because I would have loved to delve into what you just said, deeper in terms of perhaps there's also the health side, because you go to even some construction sites, the boys that work, the laborers keep their spirits up and all of that because they have access to sachet alcoholic drinks that go for like I don't know how much. They just take it and drink, and you see them doing that a lot of times. And, but I wish we'll have more time to debate for that. But just in 1 minute, if you can, what recommendations among the things that you have been saying would you want to give to the federal government or those listening right now to be able to ameliorate the situation?
Okay, so I mean, it's only domestic production that can ease the pressure on the Naira. So what I believe government should do is to deliberately, intentionally reduce the cost of domestic production. And I've given them, freeze the rate at which you calculate import duties on production inputs. That is directly promoting productivity. And also on the price of gas, because it's an input that is ameliorating the challenge we have with power supply, and also the issue of price verification portal that is not allowing people to import their products should be taken off. And of course, this ban on sachet that will throw 500,000 people out of job should be reversed.
All right. Thank you very much, DG, for coming.